Hello again. Well, I posted MVI 5274, if I can do it, so can you. And I've had a number of my viewers ask me if I would provide a copy of the document that I plan to deliver to the Congressman prior to my scheduled meeting. What I'm going to do is I'm going to provide you with that information, and I'm going to ask you to do what I asked you to do before. Use this document as a template. Eliminate the paragraphs that aren't pertinent and modify it accordingly. And I'm asking you to do the same. I'm asking you to reach out to your congressional representative and ask him or her the same questions as I've outlined in this document. Use this document as a format, assuming that you're successful, as I've been, in setting up a time to meet with your congressional representative or your senator, and send it to him or her in advance, the way I'm doing, to try to make the time that you have with them as productive as possible. Now, it is possible as well that once I deliver this, the meeting might be canceled. And if so, so be it. I'll have accomplished my objective either way. So here we go. This is dated February the 14th. And it's to the Congressman. And I start off by saying, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you and your staff for agreeing to meet with me on Thursday, February the 19th, 2015 at 12:10 p.m. I was pleased to learn that from your staff, that I will be given between 7 to 8 minutes of your time. I would also like to personally thank you for having done what you did to help free an American hero, Andrew Tamarasi, who was languishing in a Tijuana prison for over 8 months. As you know, the Commander-in-Chief said, quote, that we never leave one of our soldiers behind, end of quote, which was his justification for having traded 5 of the worst terrorists in Guantanamo for Bowie Bergdahl, who appears to have been a deserter. I thought that you might wish to learn a little bit more about me. I have spent the last few years making and posting over 7,200 plus political YouTube videos on current issues that impact all Americans, all of which were and are also being posted on Facebook, Google, and Twitter. As of February the 14th, 2015, based on the readily available information, my videos have been viewed over 1,750,000 times on YouTube, with similar viewing numbers on Facebook and Google, resulting in well over 5,250,000 total views. I'm confident by the time we meet, the number will well have been significantly surpassed. I thought that it might prove beneficial if I dropped off an advanced copy prior to our scheduled meeting to enable either you or your staff to review the various points that I wish to discuss with you, and to receive your comments and or suggestions in writing. I would like to thank you for providing me with an opportunity to outline the various points that I would like your views and comments on. I would like you to consider submitting 3 separate bills to Congress, since all 3 of these bills directly impact senators and congressmen in what most, if not all, would perceive to be in a negative fashion. I highly doubt that they will be received by either house, assuming, of course, that you would even bother to present them for review and consideration to begin with. As I trust you know, most American people that are aware of the realities that are taking place in America have little, if any, respect for members of Congress, since our country is clearly being allowed to be destroyed from within as each day goes by. The first bill that I would like you to present to Congress would establish clear, quote, term limits, end of quote, on all members of Congress. Senators and or congressmen would only be permitted to remain in either the Senate or Congress for no more than 2 years. This would prevent future senators or congressmen from being intimidated, controlled, and directed by the more senior members of either chamber. Allowing members to remain in power beyond 2 terms opens the door for them to build their own power structure, as has Senator John McCain, Chuck Schumer, Congresswoman Nancy Pelosi, and countless others. Senior members from either chamber are able to intimidate and ultimately control the direction of either respective chamber through, if nothing else, pure intimidation. All individuals that plan to run for higher office must also all agree to undergo the highest security clearance conducted by the FBI, since once elected and in office, they have, as in the case of the President and many members of Congress, the highest security clearance available in our country. Needless to say, this requirement would go a long way to prevent unqualified people from being elected to positions of power. The second bill that I would like you to propose to Congress would be that all members of Congress, as well as members of state Senate, are randomly drug tested. As you all know, our lawmakers have enacted laws that demand random drug testing of airline pilots, military and police personnel, along with countless jobs in both government as well as within private industry. There is no position that should require drug testing that is more important than those that make the laws that the American people are all subjected to. I have little doubt that out of the 535 members of Congress, there are some that are dependent on either legal or illegal drugs. Needless to say, random drug testing would prevent those individuals from impacting new laws that are created. At the same time, those individuals could also be given the professional help that they need to rid themselves of their addiction. At the same time, the bill would include verbiage that would require members of Congress to be subjected to the same laws that the American people are expected to abide by. Insider trading should no longer be permitted by members of Congress, since, as you know, American citizens that engage in that activity are breaking the law, and if caught, would be punished accordingly. Members of Congress can at the present time not be charged with sexual harassment, while the American citizen, not members of Congress, can be charged for that kind of illegal activity. I have little doubt that there are many other laws that members of Congress do not have to comply with, while the American citizens do. This is obviously an area that requires additional review and consideration. There also needs to be a mandatory retirement age requirement, since, as we all know, as Americans age, their ability to think clearly becomes somewhat negatively impacted, and different people are impacted at different ages. Since the retirement age for Americans is 66, soon to be 67, that age might be ideal for all members of Congress as well. The third bill would require all members of Congress to be tested on the material contained within any bill that members of Congress are considering voting on. Senator Rand Paul posted a video where he held up a bill that contained hundreds of pages, and he said, quote, that he is expected to vote on the bill within a few hours, and he nor anyone else has had the time to read what's contained within the bill, end of quote. As we all know, far too often members of either chamber simply vote, quote, on party line, end of quote, without having or caring what impact, either positive or negative, that the proposed bill might have on their constituents. Needless to say, it would prevent and eliminate comments as stated by the minority leader in the House of Representatives, Nancy Pelosi, who, when she stood up and said, quote, that we have to pass Obamacare so we can learn what's in it, end of quote. The American people that sent representatives to Congress deserve honest and adequate representation. When might the American people expect to receive what they were promised that they would receive prior to electing their local congressional representative? I have a list of questions that I would appreciate hearing your views on. 1. Why was Senator Harry Reid allowed to substitute an approved bill that the House of Representatives submitted to the Senate that was a tax credit for military housing that was substituted with Obamacare by Harry Reid, and not a single House of Representative uttered a single word of complaint, especially Speaker John Boehner? 2. Why has Congress allowed both Barack Hussein Obama and Attorney General Eric H. Holder Jr. to get away with so many countless phony scandals, any one of which would have ended any other presidency? 3. When will Congress investigate Obamacare that has incomplete software which prevents any auditing to be done? The reality is that no one has a clue of who had what service done, and Obama simply pays insurance providers based on their best guesstimate. 4. When might the American people learn about Barack Hussein Obama's past, especially as it pertains to his enrollment at Harvard? And when might the American people learn about his true identity? In closing, I look forward to our scheduled meeting, and I trust that the time that you have agreed to spend with me will be better served by having me provide you with the above in advance in writing. Sincerely, Gabe Zolna. Once again, you might consider using what I've just rattled off to you as a format. Once you've been able to reach out and get agreement from either your senator or your congressman to meet with you, you're free to use any or all of the material. Needless to say, certain portions, such as when I talked about myself in the videos that I've posted, wouldn't be pertinent. But I believe about 80% of it might in fact be pertinent. Nothing would please me more than for hundreds of my viewers, if not thousands of my viewers, to reach out to their congressman. You not think they'd find it somewhat interesting that they're asked the same thing by so many people? You know, it's no different than when we request information from one of our congressional representatives and we receive back a standard form letter. Let's do it to them in reverse. The difference is that this letter can have, hopefully will have, some impact on the future direction of this country. Let me know what you think. I told you what I think.